Welcome to Subramani. This is not a political video at all, though it would sound political to people who would say, and I've heard all these things, all allegations saying, you're a Bhakt and Nanda Bhakt and all that. I live with that. That does not cause any pain for me, but I'm going to pay I'm going to criticize Dr. Manmohan Singh, and I'm also going to praise Dr. Manmohan Singh. I'm also going to praise Raghuram Rajan. Which is very rare for me, but let's start. Sometime in 2012, 2013, Dr. Manmohan Singh must have been seeing the balance sheets of Indian banks, and he must have been worried that if it is so profitable, really so profitable, why don't they have enough cash? That's one thing very simple to understand, right? If you are earning 100 rupees and spending 99, you obviously have cash. If you are earning 100 rupees and spending 101, you will have to borrow money. So why is it that banks are showing a lot of profits, but they don't seem to have adequate money? And Dr. Manmohan Singh has spent enough time in the banking, with the banking regulator, in the finance ministry, etc., for him to have known what is happening. Something was wrong. So he brought in Raghuram Rajan, and I thought I still think that was a very good move, because Raghuram Rajan did two things. One, which he was mandated to do, is open up the bank balance sheets and see how much of muck is there in that. And secondly, he did something, I don't know whether he was asked to do or whether he did it on his own, was targeting inflation. I do not know how much the senior citizens of this country realize that Raghuram Rajan has been good for them, because he targeted inflation and he made sure that the bank interest didn't come down. So which meant senior citizens were now starting to get real interest, right? So if inflation was 6% and you were getting 7% from banks, this is not sustainable for too long, but you were still getting a real rate of return. That is something which Raghuram Rajan has to be credited with. But 2014 is also the time when Dr. Manmohan Singh, who had asked Raghuram Rajan to come in and clean up, had to go, and Narendra Modi came in. So for Modi, he didn't know he wouldn't have known what to do in the banking system, considering that Raghuram Rajan painted a very grim picture to him and said, look, the banking is in real bad shape. You have a lot of NPAs. There is no way how the banks can sustain with all this, so the banks have to write them off. Writing off these loans from your balance sheet makes your balance sheet looks weak, but the truth be told, this was anyway gone, right? So you are just recognizing the fact that some of these monies will not be recovered. So 2013, 13 I think profits started falling, 14 profits had really fallen, and Raghuram Rajan was ready with his report, and he used these words like prompt corrective action is required in 11 banks. 11 banks were in bad shape and they had to be shut down. Okay, the shutting down or no was not Raghuram Rajan's prerogative, but yes, he had to make suggestions to Narendra Modi. Now is the skill of Narendra Modi which comes in and says, okay, this situation is bad, the situation is grim, let us go about cleaning it. That cleaning which was done by the Ministry of Finance, I don't really remember who was the finance minister. It could not have been Nirmala Sitharaman. I think Nirmala Sitharaman came in a little late, maybe Piyush Goyal or whoever else was there, Arun Jaitley, Piyush Goyal. They were all called. I think the whole, I'll give the credit to Narendra Modi for saying, okay, here is the problem. We have identified the problem. We have to solve it, and we have to solve it by not talking too much about it, right? So if they had gone to town saying, oh my God, UP has left this banking in a mess, there are 11 banks which are going to shut down, we would have seen a run on our money, right? We would have ourselves gone and withdrawn, saying, oh, what happens if the government withdraws its guarantee? Why should I keep my money in Dena Bank or an Indian Overseas Bank, or even an IDBI bank, where I am not very sure whether the government will support it after some time. So they shrunk the number of banks to from 20 to 12, which was a sensible thing to do, which means a lot of managing directors and chairmen and all were eased out, right? Some of them were absorbed, some of them were eased out, a lot of branches got shut, a lot of branches got merged. So all those things happened, and happened very quietly. Now suddenly the bad loans was as high as 13-14% of for these banks, right? It is that high. What jocularly I think Narendra Modi said, phone banking, that people who knew the banks would just call up the bank and say, I want this loan, and it would get done. I think Print has done a story on that. Srinivas Raghavan, TCS Srinivas Raghavan talks about NHAI, one of the NHAI executives, senior executives, giving a story of how you could get a 300 crore project sanction, go to the bank and get 600 crores because you knew the banker, right? So all those things were happening, and the total loss visible then in 2017 was 2,07,000 and odd crores, right? I'm not throwing too much of charts and graphs at you, but that was the situation. And in 2017, I think more concrete action started. Banks got merged. Banks were told what they could do, what they could not do, and suddenly now I think in 22-23 the gross profit crossed 1,04,000 crores, right? There was a 59% jump. I don't know, I don't have the the figures, but I think the 59 to 60% jump in the profits of a bank like State Bank of India. Now this is not small, right? Banking is a profitable business. Banking is so profitable that even the government makes profit in banking. So the bank profitability went up, and suddenly in the equity market you saw that all those shares which were languishing in 2 digits are now in good decent 3 digits, right? So the market cap also went up, which meant people said, oh, here there is something happening, something good is happening, banks are suddenly starting to do well. I think controlling the bad news, control the credit rating for these banks, control the credit rating for the country, and so much so that a lot of praise was there for NAMO for handling the banking crisis. Is it good? Is it bad? Can it be better? Of course it can be better. The private sector banks, I mean the HDFC Bank merger makes it the 4th largest bank in the world on market capitalization, which makes, I think, sorry I'm digressing, but I think it makes HDFC Bank a great buy. If it's not there in your portfolio, it should be there. It's there in my portfolio since 1994, so that's a caveat. To me, it does not matter whether you buy HDFC Bank or don't buy HDFC Bank. To HDFC Bank, it doesn't matter. Not that they'll say, oh, Subra, here is some 5,000 rupees, please say HDFC Bank is a good bank. No, it's not paid. I have it, I own it for a long time. I will continue to buy it whenever I have more money to be allocated to HDFC Bank, right? There are 2-3 questions which are top of my mind. Did not MMS see this, or did he see this and he said, look, I need somebody from abroad who can come with a good image and come and talk about what is the problem in the banking industry? And he was very clear that a lot of these bad loans, which both Mr. Raghuram Rajan and Urjit Patel have said in the past, that all this was created during the UPA regime. We know who are the ministers to be blamed, and I will not go on record blaming them, but largely yes, the telephone banking which Narendra Modi spoke about, it was the telephone banking which hurt us. They sanctioned as much, and they sanctioned loans to friends and relatives. Now I believe those kind of loans have gone away. I don't think now you will see a bank sanctioning 4,000 crores to a Bhushan Steel or 8,000 crores to a Bhushan Steel. They are worried somewhere about accountability. Having said that, am I saying that the corruption has disappeared from Indian banks? The answer is no. I still hear people saying, oh, this was offered, that was offered, it has to be done. I have no, I don't think any of my friends will ever stand up to substantiate it, but I don't know whether whether the banks have suddenly turned clean overnight. I'm sure there is going to be some corruption even in in the private sector banks, but public sector banks really are not paragons of virtue in terms of what is happening there. Right. So, did MMS not spot this? Did he bring Raghuram Rajan for doing this? One thing good about Raghuram Rajan targeting inflation, all these things happened. So here I am saying good things about Manmohan Singh, about Raghuram Rajan, and about Narendra Modi. So I don't know whether you want to treat this as a paid one, paid by both Congress and by BJP, or paid by SBI. No, nobody has paid me. Thank you.